My town's pine forest has a secret. I ended up buying a house at the edge of this town, before I knew all the bullcrap that was going down around here. Got bored and went down to the local sheriff, Jack, and asked about an opening. Didn't even fill out an application. Got the job on the spot. For the first few months, it was the usual speeding tickets, drunk and disorderly. Normal crap, right? Well, let the tomfoolery begin. I had been a deputy for 7 months when one of the local farmers called in and reported he had some animals killed last night and wanted someone to come out to his house. John Nixon was a 60-year-old farmer who lived by himself. His wife had passed away years ago, but he never remarried and they never had kids. We met one day at the local tackle shop. Me being new in town, he took me to some of the good fishing spots. The man was a huge military history buff and would always ask about my time in it. I thought I knew him personally, so I took the call. As I rolled up to the gate on his property, I saw John standing at the gate with a shotgun. "Hey, John, can I ask you why you're standing there with a cannon in your hands?" No response. He just stared at me. "John, put the damn shotgun down," I yelled. It's like he snapped out of a trance. "Mason, I need you to come around the back side of the house to the barn. Now!" he snapped. Okay. Let me get out of the car and grab some gear," I said, opening the car door. While I was grabbing my gear, John was standing there with his eyes scanning the tree line. "Come on, Mason, you need to see this," he said, heading towards the back. I closed the trunk and started walking over in his direction. "So what the hell's going on that's got you walking around here with that damn bazooka?" No response. He just keeps walking and scanning the tree line. We finally got to the back of his house where the barn is. It looked like a horror movie in that pen. "What the fuck happened here?" I said, covering my mouth. There were pieces of chickens and goats everywhere. A few pigs looked like they had been filleted. "It's back, Mason. After all these years," John mumbled. "John, what the hell are you talking about? What did this?" John took his eyes off the tree line and looked me dead in the face. "You're not from around here, so you don't know." "Know what, man? What are you saying?" I asked, getting annoyed now. "Years ago, the same thing happened to a few guys I know. All of their livestock had been killed. Not killed and eaten, just killed. You got people around here up in arms. Well, a few of us got together and decided we're going to look for whatever did it," he said. "What the hell are you telling me, John?" I interrupted. "There were 4 of us. We were young. Thought we were bulletproof. We went out into the woods one morning, determined to find the damn thing that had been killing our animals." Tommy was the first to say something. "Hey, you guys hear that?" The rest of us didn't hear a thing, so we kept moving. We got about 3 miles deep into the old pine forest at the edge of town. Will was the next to say something. "What the fuck?" he yelled out while looking down at the mud. We ran over to where he was standing to find him wide-eyed. "I don't know what the actual fuck did this, but we need to go, and I mean right fucking now," he said, pointing. This track was huge, at least 14 inches long with huge claws. Gerald spoke up. "Let's fucking go, guys." We started backtracking out of the area. When we were stopped in our tracks, we all heard it this time. It was coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same damn time. A sickening, shrieking laugh was coming from all around us. We panicked and started running. As soon as we did that, whatever was making that noise centered as if right behind us, and it was coming fast, ungodly fast," John said, eyeing the remains of a chicken that was torn apart. "We were about a mile from the trucks when I heard a loud thud and a scream. When I looked back, Gerald wasn't there. Will and Tommy were right behind me, terror all over their faces. Tommy pulled his pistol and started shooting backwards. Only one shot rang out before something tackled him and Will. I stopped, raising my rifle, but they had already been torn apart. It was seconds, and they were in shreds. Mason, what I saw standing over their shredded bodies has haunted me ever since then. The fucking thing was 9 feet tall, shaped like a man but not. Its skin, or scales, was a mixture of black and grey, and it looked slimy. It looked like a damn bodybuilder with huge clawed hands. Its head was massive, with what looked like horns coming from the jaw around the chin. Its eyes glowed bright green in the middle of the fucking day, and it had a mouth full of fucked up jagged teeth," he said, lowering his head. I just stood there, waiting for my turn. The thing paced back and forth, staring at me with this creepy damn smile. It looked down at Will and Tommy, then it looked back up at me. My heart almost stopped when it pointed and shook its head. It started making that shrieking laugh as it grabbed what was left of my friends in each giant claw and walked off into the woods, still fucking laughing. I fell on my knees as it vanished into the trees. I stood there, thinking he lost his damn mind. John had stopped talking. He had this way-off look in his eyes. "John? John? John!" His eyes snapped back to mine. "So what are you telling me? A 9-foot creature with claws killed your friends and animals?" I half-mocked. "Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's back for me, I know it." "What makes you think it was this thing that killed your friends?" "It could have been coyotes," I asked. "I know, Mason. I heard that same horrible shrieking laugh in the woods behind the barn last night." Now, I've heard some real bullshit in my time, especially during my time in the contracting field. But this was the most out there shit I had ever heard. Alright, let's take a big-ass step backwards. I need to wrap my head around all of this, I said, taking a deep breath. John laid the shotgun down to his side. "I'm telling you the truth, Mason. I'm too old and tired to lie about shit," he said, shrugging. I looked deep into this man's eyes. When I did, I saw something that told me this was the absolute truth as he knew it. "You haven't given me any reason to doubt you, but fuck, man. This is hard to swallow. I need proof, John. That's the way this works." A look of frustration washed over his face. "Proof? You want proof, huh? Follow me," John groaned. He started walking towards the tress behind the barn. As we got closer to the trees, I started to smell rusty copper. Blood, I thought out loud. John raised his shotgun as we walked closer. That damn gun had to be illegal, but this wasn't the time for that. Him raising that gun made me a little uneasy, so I pulled my Glock 9mm out and flipped the safety off. John owned about 90 acres, most of it unkempt. A lot of the land was behind the barn, which butted up to the state forest. We took about 12 steps into the woodline when the smell of death hit me like a brick. "I'm taking you to where I heard the noise coming from last night. Your proof is out there, Mason," he said with a slight edge to it. We walked almost 100 yards into the woods when John stopped in front of a tree. It looked twisted and walked all the way to its top. I stepped around John and saw huge claw marks cut deep all the way around the base of the tree. It's hard to even call it that. "What the hell is this?" I said, looking up. "This is a marker. Its territory starts here," John replied. I looked at John like he was crazy, which at this point I thought he was. "This thing travels throughout these woods. I've found 5 more of these trees in our town," he said, putting a hand on the tree. "This isn't telling me anything, John. Just that you've got a weird-ass tree on your property," I said back to him. "You hear that?" So we could move this mess forward, I stopped talking and just listened. I hadn't noticed that during our walk into the woods it had got quiet. And I mean not one sound. "What the hell, where did all the animals go?" I asked, looking around. "They're scared, Mason. You should be too. Let's go back to the house." We turned and started making our way out of the woods. We're damn near the tree line when I heard a snap. I turned around, gun raised, to see a black streak dart back deeper into the woods. "What the fuck was that?" All John said was, "We need to leave. Now!" We turned and started sprinting the rest of the way out of the woods. I was surprised at how fast John was for an old man. We got all the way back to my patrol car. "I don't know what that was, but I don't think you should stay here tonight, John. Pack some stuff and come to my place," I said, pointing my gun to the trees. John just let out a sigh, as if frustrated and defeated. "You aren't listening. The pine forest, these trees, it's all connected. I'm talking about before this area was even inhabited by native peoples. This fucking thing has been around for a very long time. I've been looking into this since that day. I had to find out what this thing was and if it can be killed," he tried to explain. The whole time John was talking, I had my eyes and weapon pointed at the trees. "You can put that down now, Mason. I just wanted you to know it was here." "John, I need to process this shit. I've never seen or heard anything like this, and to be straight with you, I'm at a loss right now," I said, opening the trunk. I get it. Sheriff Jack was a deputy back then. When you see him, tell him I said the dark is here." And with that, he just turned back and walked back into his house, not saying another word. I got back in the car and sat there, looking at the tree line. After a few minutes, I went back to the station. I must have walked in with that universal what the heck look on my face, because Kathy the clerk asked what was wrong with me. I told her I was fine, and asked if she had seen the sheriff. "Yeah, he's in the gun cage. You sure you're okay, Mason?" she asked again. "Yeah, I'm good. Just need to talk to Jack." I started walking towards the back of the building when Jack came around the corner. "Hey Mason, what's up?" he says whilst walking up to me. "I just got back from John's house." The look on his face completely changed. "He had a bunch of animals killed last night. It looked like a slaughterhouse. He told me to tell you the doc was back," I told him, noticing his reaction. Jack stiffened up, and not saying a word, gestured for me to follow him towards the back security door. We headed towards the back and out the door. Jack had stopped to make sure the door was secure, then pointed at his truck and said, "Get in." After getting in, he looked over. "I need some coffee." Then he started up the truck and headed west out of the parking lot towards the coffee shop. He ordered a large black coffee with extra sugar, then asked if I wanted one. "I'll take a small black, no sugar." We pulled out and headed east back past the station. We ended up driving towards the edge of the county. "What's going on? And why are we heading way the hell out here?" I looked at Jack and said. Jack just took a long sip of his coffee, then placed it back in the holder. After a long breath, he said, "You want some answers about what happened at John's house? I'm sure he told you about a few other things about this town. Well, we're going to go get you some answers," he said, looking at the black sedan passing in the opposite direction. "Alright, so, like you, Mason, I'm not from around here either. I was a trooper in New York for a few years before I came down here. I resigned after a call to an old couple's house," he said, reaching for his comp. "My partner Jake and I responded to what we thought to be an animal attack. We were the first on the scene, having been a couple miles away looking for speeders. When we rolled up, an older woman came running over to the cruiser. She had a panicked look on her face and just kept repeating, 'They're dead, they're dead.' We hopped out and sat her in the back of the car, then asked her what happened. I came over to talk to Gloria and I saw the open door. I walked in yelling her and Alan's name, but they didn't answer. I found them upstairs. It's horrible," she said, sobbing. "Jake and I drew our weapons and started making the move inside. Like the witness said, the front door was open, so we moved in. It smelled like blood and sulfur when we entered. We started clearing rooms. The first floor was clear, so we made our way up the steps. The smell was overpowering now. We cleared the bathrooms, and the 2 smaller rooms were clear also. The door to the master bedroom was slightly open. I motioned to Jake, and we hit the door. It looked like some movie shit, I kid you not. Jake turned and went back into the hallway and threw up. I stepped into the room and... Listen, I'd never seen anything like this before. These 2 people were in shreds on the bed. Their insides had been yanked out and thrown around the fucking room. After looking at the bodies, I noticed these huge claw marks in the wall. I'm talking if Andre the Giant had had a Kruger glove. I stepped back out of the room and radioed to dispatch that we need more units. I walked back to the front door where Jake was standing hunched over, looking out of it. Parked outside were 3 black SUVs and a black sedan. I counted 11 men dressed in black tactical military gear, some with a type of rifle I'd never seen before, but you could tell it was a large caliber. The rest with SMG weapons. When I looked over towards the patrol car, one of the men had the door open and was talking to the witness. He saw us and started our way. He was dressed in all black too and carried what looked like a Desert Eagle in his chest holster. When he got closer, I got a better look at him. He looked to be in his late 40s with salt and pepper colored hair and a big-ass scar that ran down the right side of his face. He got about 10 feet from the steps. "We appreciate your assistance, but you're no longer needed," he said in a deep voice. As he's saying this, one of the other guy escorts the witness out of our car and into the back of the sedan. The guy started walking away from us. "Who are you? What the fuck is going on?" I yelled at him. He turned with a look on his face that you only see in movies, then took a few steps towards us. "Your command has been informed and you are to leave now," he said, raising his hand up towards the holstered pistol. Jake looked at me and shook his head. "Fucking, let's go, let them deal with that mess upstairs," he said, coughing, then started heading towards the car. I followed him down the steps, looking this guy up and down, checking out the vehicles, for anything that might tell me who we were dealing with. The only thing I saw was on the asshole's uniform. There was a patch on his shoulder. It was an all-black diamond with a weird-looking black M in the middle of it. The guy stared us down until we were in the car driving away. He had that pistol in his hand, and the other men started moving into the house. Jake and I didn't say a word until the radio squawked, and we were told to head back to the barracks. When we got there, we were told to report to the troop commander's office. Commander Thompson was sitting in his office along with a man in a nice two-piece suit. The man in the suit stood there quietly, whilst Thompson told us that we were never to respond to any call out to that farmhouse, and that this was the first and only time he would say it. With that, he dismissed us, and we were walked out. That shit didn't sit well with me, and I ended up resigning a few months later. I came down here, and then that shit in the woods happened. I was on the scene. Saw the claw marks. They looked just like the ones in New York. And the same damn trucks showed up with different personnel. I just knew to shut up and walk away. And after making that choice, I've had a pretty good career here. He finished, grabbing his cup out of the holder. My brain was in overdrive. I was just about to completely question Bomb Jack when he said, "We're here." He pulled off onto this overgrown driveway and drove for about a quarter mile. We pulled up to an old 2-story house that looked like it was in ruins, but the lights were on. "Where the hell are we?" I asked, and as the last word of that question left my mouth, the front door of the house opened. Standing in the doorway was an old man, dressed in weathered black clothing. Jack leaned over to me. "You wanted answers? Well, there they are."